the American people is counting on us. And the president is doing his job. He's doing his job domestically and as commander-in-chief.
Yes, and as commander-chief, as commander-chief, that was cringe at the White House yesterday, and the president's doing his job, stirring up the jihad here at home. I guess is that? I think maybe it's time Joe Biden give a speech to the Democrat Party faithful about not becoming fascists so quickly, at least. Not becoming followers of Hitler. You know, the New York Times, they hired back that Hitler-loving. He's a journalist. He makes videos for the New York Times, and he makes little documentaries for the New York Times, and he loves Adolf Hitler. Kind of like Rashida Tlaib. What does she get, Jeff? A warm feeling inside when she thinks about the Holocaust? Is that what she said? The Democratic Party isn't. And the Democratic Party isn't what it used to be. That is as generous as that gets. I was talking to my friend Larry O'Connor just a couple of minutes ago, and I said, I was hanging out with my best girl this morning, and we were doing all kinds of stuff. We had a little bit of an episode last night. We live in a building, in the city of Washington, and we got a call from our building manager who said there was a pipe burst. A pipe had burst a couple floors up from us in our building, and they had to shut off the water to our section of the building, to our tier. And so the water had been shut off to our apartment. And we were there for a little while, and it's like, forgot the water, went over to use some water, turn the water on, it doesn't work. And I'm like, wow, I feel like a Palestinian. I feel like this must be like what it's like in the Gaza, except for the 85-inch 4K TV and the cable and the DVR and stuff. But other than that, it was kind of like living in the Gaza. I felt like a jihadi. Just for a moment there, I wanted to vote Democrat. Just for a moment. It passed very, very quickly. Because the Democrat Party is the party of jihad. They are, and as they have always been, the party of terrorism since they, launched the Civil War. And then after the Civil War started the White Knights of the KKK. Then they gave us Jim Crow and the SDS and the Weather Underground and the Symbionese Liberation Army. They're the party of terrorists and terrorism. They always have been cop killers and robbers and funding the revolution and of course, getting tenure at major American universities for the effort. And that was a clue early on. William Ayres and Bernardine Dohrn and the other communist, revolutionary, violent killers, cop killers, who then immediately get jobs on the campuses of major American universities. That started years and years ago. And Barack Obama, he comes from that segment of our society. He was palling around with William Ayres and Bernardine Dohrn, radical left-wing terrorists, and that's what they are, unrepentant radical left-wing terrorists. And maybe that is kind of the beginning of the Democrat Party's relationship, their love affair with Hamas and Hezbollah and the Islamic Jihad and the rise of radical Islam in the world. The Democrat Party is in cahoots with them. Oh, Chris, you're embellishing, you're saying things. And any lefty says, well, that's not true. But it is, you maroon. You just don't pay attention. You get your news from MSDNC. Therefore, your head is wedged deep and securely into your dark and remote location. You have no idea what's going on in the country or the world because you choose your news sources and then you get what you deserve. But the Democrat Party is very much in cahoots with the jihad and college campuses. William Ayres, Bernardine Dohrn. I was talking to Larry O'Connor again, and we used to worry. You send your child, your boy or your girl off to college, and you raise a proud American, patriotic young person. Send them off to college, and you got to worry that they're going to come home as lefties. They're going to come home big lefties. I went off to college as a perfectly normal young person, clear thinking, and then they come home as lefties. And you say, wow, where did I go wrong? And, of course, you didn't go wrong. The universities brainwashed and indoctrinated the young people that you sent to them, and you pay $1 million a year to get your kid an education, and instead what they get is Chairman Mao-style re-education camp, and they come home goose-stepping little fascists because the William Ayres and Bernardine Dohrn sect of academia sunk their teeth into them and sucked the lifeblood out of them. And that was a real concern, continues to be, but that's been a concern for a long, long time. And then there was, the Democrats rose and their sexual dementia became front and center. And you'd send your 18-year-old off to college, and your young woman goes off to college, and when she comes home, she says, "I'm a man now." Well, you're not a man. You have all the girl parts. You're obviously a young woman. And no, I'm a man. Now I'm a man. I'm a male person because I'm non-binary, and like a non-nuclear weapon or something, and non-binary. So you come home and you send your perfectly normal young person off to college, young man, young woman, comes home a leftist with gender dysphoria who, is dabbling in surgery to alter which you can't do, by the way, their gender. Every, fiber of your being, every cell in your body makes clear based on chromosomes, which the patriarch uncovered in the last century. And you're welcome. And we know that this person is a man and this person is a woman, this person is a boy, this person is a girl, but the Democrats have deconstructed that. So they teach your young people to be communist, to be anti-capitalist, to be pro-socialist. The goal of socialism is communism, by the way. And then they teach them the transgenderism. And now you send your young person off to college, and the lefties sink their teeth into them. And now they become jihadis. Now your young people, they join the jihad. They're pro-genocide. They become anti-Semitic. Basically, you're not supposed to go around calling people Nazis unless they share so many characteristics with the Nazi party of Adolf Hitler and his Socialist Workers' Party. And as one example, last night here in Washington, D.C., our nation's capital, we have a university named for our first president of the United States, the George Washington University. And at the George Washington Unit, which is the most expensive university in the United States of America. What does it cost, Jeff? Jeff Wolf is in today for Michael Piercy. Michael Piercy is working from home today because, family issues, got to deal with some things. But the George Washington University, they have students there, and the students, they put on a jihad show last night because they love genocidal anti-Semitism. And that's what Adolf Hitler and his Socialist Workers' Party loved as well. Now, Zach Kessel has an account on X, and his X post last night has a number of photos from the George Washington University and more or less downtown, between Georgetown and downtown Washington, D.C. It is Georgetown University Hospital is where, for example, Ronald Reagan was taken when John Hinckley shot him and nearly killed him, and shot James Brady and shot Secret Service agent Tim McCarthy and a D.C. police officer, Thomas Delahanty. And now John Hinckley pretends that he plays the guitar, and whenever he puts tickets on sale for his shows, the Democrats buy them up in a minute because they love murder, because the Democrat Party loves presidential assassinations. They shot and killed Abraham Lincoln, the first Republican president, John Wilkes Booth. He was a Democrat and an actor, need I say more? And if they had transgenderism back there, he might have been, but they didn't because they were, But and then every president that is shot by a lefty or a communist, got a communist as a lefty, or the CIA. But that's another discussion for another day. So John Hinckley, and he sells T-shirts. John Hinckley sells T-shirts, and Democrats buy them up because they love murder. They really because the Democratic Party isn't, and the Democratic Party has gone insane. And honestly, if you're a Democrat, what is wrong with you? What is the matter with you? What happened to your party? This is not the party of Bill Clinton. It's barely even the party of Hillary Clinton. And it's certainly not the party of John F. Kennedy, who today would be to the right of Mitt Romney, which isn't hard, but nevertheless. So last night at the Democrat George Washington University in Washington, D.C., Students at GW are currently projecting these images, these messages on the side of Gelman Library. They have the Gelman Library, which is probably named for a Jewish guy, Gelman. The student who sent me these images says the university has not asked those projecting the messages to stop using its building to glorify terrorists. Now, here it is on the side of the Gelman Library. They have an electronic, like a big slideshow projector, but it's a sophisticated one, and it's projecting giant words on the side of the Gelman Library at the George Washington University. Glory to our martyrs. Glory to our martyrs. And free Palestine from the river to the sea. Now, that is the message of Hamas, and, well, they're both messages of Hamas, which is a murderous, blood-sopped terrorist organization, radical Islamic jihadi terrorist organization. And President Granberg is complicit in genocide in Gaza. See, now these are the talking points of radical Islam and of the Democrat Party and the young Democrats of America who have been turned into gay, transgender, leftist jihadis. Now, how it makes sense to be a leftist jihadi? Well, they have mass murder in common. They have a bloodlust in common. They have authoritarianism in common. They have the hobnail boot or moccasin of the authoritarian state in common. And it turns out that they go together like hand in mitten, like carrots and peas. The Democrat Party and the jihadis are as one. Now, these photographs from the George Washington University, glory to our martyrs. Our martyrs? Now, there was one and only one Republican, I think, Ron DeSantis, saying that foreign students in the United States who are glorifying Hamas should have their student visas canceled and should be catapulted into the sea. Well, he didn't say catapulted into the sea, but I think they should be catapulted into the sea, medieval style. I think it'd be more fun than just putting them on a plane and sending them home. They might try to take over the plane and blow it up or crash it into a building, as they have been known to do in the past. But glory to our martyrs, free Palestine from the river to the sea, from the river Jordan, which is the eastern border of Israel, to the sea, the Mediterranean Sea, which is their western border, to drive the Jews into the sea and kill them all and wipe the state of Israel off the map. That is the mantra, from the river to the sea. That's what that means, and that's projected on the side of a wall at, ironically, George Washington University and, ironically, the Gelman Library. But this is today's Democrat Party. Also today, we are anticipating that on more than 100 college campuses from coast to coast, the Democrat Party and the Students for Justice in Palestine, that's what they call it. They use the words, but they don't know what they mean. Justice means killing all the Jews to today's Democrat Party. And this is truly amazing. But over at over 100, more than 100 campuses, college campuses from coast to coast, the Democrat Party is staging today, and their affiliate organization, Students for Justice in Palestine, SJP, not to be confused with Corinne Jean-Pierre, KJP, because that's a different kind of jihadi. And she, she was, when was that, Monday, day before yesterday, she was going off, asked about anti-Semitism in the United States, and she answered by talking about Islamophobia, whatever that is. That's apparently an irrational fear. But the Democrats are planning on having violent mobs of criminal, pro-jihad, pro-genocide anti-Semites. They plan on having them gather on more than 100 campuses nationwide in the United States of America to cheer for Islamic terrorism, because our college campuses have been taken over by the Democratic Party. That's what they call themselves. And I got to tell you, forget about your kids coming home as lefties and transgender. Now they're coming home as radical leftist transgender jihadis from college. And it is 100% because of the Democratic Party. The Democratic Party is responsible for all of this. So you vote accordingly and send your kid to college, knowing they might come home a suicide bomber, but at least they'll be contributing to the jihad. Joe Biden may speak today. Transgender, what do they have? Transgender HIV positive prostitutes. These are some of the Democrats' favorite things. I've got that coming up because Democrats love HIV positive street prostitutes, and they're here to defend and promote them. We are at 888-630-9625. Hey, it's Chris Plant, excited to tell you about our July 2024 Listener Sea Cruise. We'll be sailing around the British Isles, visiting Scotland and Ireland. Please join us. Book by this July 31st for extra savings. Visit ChrisPlantCruise.com. Now, the ACLU, you may remember them. They used to be the American Civil Liberties Union. They posted an X post yesterday, announcing in breaking in all caps from the ACLU, we're suing Tennessee, the state of Tennessee, for their, quote, aggravated prostitution, end quote, statute that targets people with HIV with harsh punishment and lifetime sex offender registration. The law is unconstitutional and disproportionately affects, stand by, black and transgender women. This is your Democrat Party. Because they're defending the black, transgender, HIV positive street prostitutes, because this is today's Democrat Party. And with that, let's grab a telephone call, Jeff. Let's talk to Leslie, calling from Rockville, Maryland. Leslie, you're on the Chris Plant Show.
Hey, Chris. We are living in an alternate universe, I swear to God. I mean, where are the people that, aren't you still allowed in this country to decide who you want to have relations with? I mean, where are the people who want to have relations with gender and race undisclosed HIV prostitutes?
My only answer is Democrats.
Seriously. I mean, the only part about it is, if you really want to have sex with an HIV prostitute, as you say, go right ahead, knock yourself out. But, don't require me to be okay with it.
We're suffering from an epidemic of mental illness. There is a gay group in Memphis. They call themselves Out Memphis. And Out Memphis is all in with the ACLU on fighting against Tennessee to make it, more legal and more acceptable for HIV-positive transgender prostitutes to be out there on the street.
But we're running out of money.
Maybe we should have them sign something, no medical attention for them. We should send them to the Gaza. They could be helpful there. The Democrat Party on our college campuses, basically communists at this point. And the madness doesn't stop with the leftism. It then goes on to the insanity of their transgenderism, where your daughter goes off to college, comes home thinking that she's Chaz Bono, lickety-split. And now they're teaching jihad on college campuses, and they're teaching genocidal anti-Semitism. And again, no sense of irony, at the George Washington University in Washington, D.C., our nation's capital, where they're projecting Hamas talking points onto the side of a library named for a Jewish donor to the university. And the university didn't lift a finger to stop it because, hey, it's free speech to be a Nazi. And the Democrat Party is right there. They are there. And the Democrat Party, because this is, it's important to keep in mind that the ACLU, which is a left-wing front group pretending to stand for civil liberties, but really they're just left-wingers. and a gay group in Memphis called Out, O-U-T in all capital letters, Out Memphis, and the ACLU, part of a new lawsuit. And the Transgender Law Center is in there too, against the state of Tennessee over the state's aggravated prostitution statute. Now, I laughed at the subheadline here from the ABC 24 station in Memphis. Out Memphis joins ACLU lawsuit over Tennessee prostitution statute. They say targets people living with HIV. Well, you see, when you're, a professional out there having sex with random strangers on the street and you have HIV, you're a health risk. You're a health nightmare. You're a public health menace. And the subheadline says, the lawsuit argues the aggravated prostitution statute targets those living with HIV with harsher punishment than those without. Well, yeah. Well, that's the whole point, you see, because, and Democrats, they refer to whores as sex workers. They say sex because they're unionizing them. I think they have unionized the hookers in San Francisco. A lot of skeevy going on there, a whole lot of skeevy. And here come the Democrats to the defense of AIDS-infected hookers, because they say a whole lot of them are black, transgender, HIV-positive hookers in, of all places, the state of Tennessee. And so a perfectly otherwise mainstream gay group, Out Memphis, and, of course, the not perfectly mainstream Transgender Law Center, they've jumped in, and they're advocates for HIV-positive transgender street whores because, they could have a future in Democrat Party politics, could end up in Congress next to Rashida Tlaib and the rest of the jihad squad. The aggravated prostitution statute was passed in 1991 as HIV was still at the front of the nation's mind, they wrote at the ABC station. It enhances sex work charges. See, right there, sex work charges. From misdemeanors to felonies based on HIV status. Well, that's because it's kind of like attempted murder or reckless homicide or something like that. But the Democrat Party, this is one of their areas of expertise, and it's one of the areas that they are here to defend, because the Democrat Party is mentally unwell. And if you're a Democrat cheerleader and a Democrat voter, I'd love to give you an opportunity to explain yourself, because your party is mentally ill. And the ACLU is mentally ill. And the Out Memphis is mentally ill. And, of course, the students at the university in Washington, D.C., known as George Washington University, projecting their pro-jihad messages on the wall of a library named for a Jewish man. Your party is unwell. Your party has become genocidally anti-Semitic, and it happened like that. I just snapped my fingers. It happened like that. The Democrat Party, but this has been obviously the seething underbelly of college campuses across America, has now been revealed, and it is virulently anti-Semitic. It is genocidally anti-Semitic, and it is the Democrat Party. I was talking to a left-winger on my Newsmax television show about a week ago, and the defenses that the left offers up of the anti-Semitism just mind-boggling to me. The poor oppressed people are the terrorists. And again, what we need is a two-state solution. But what they want is the final solution, which the Nazis, of course, created, and that is the extermination of the Jewish people from the face of the earth. And the Democrat Party, they're all about this now. I mean, honestly, when you've got the George Washington University students projecting "Glory to our Martyrs" on the wall in a what is that, 15 feet high. The letters are gigantic. Glory to our martyrs in a bright white light. Free Palestine from the river to the sea on the side of this, the Gelman Library. Boy, oh boy, oh boy. This is your Democrat Party. And it's nobody else. It is 100% the Democrat Party that is behind all of this. They are now officially not only demented on matters of gender and radical leftists, but they're also the party of jihad, of radical Islamic jihad. The Estelle and Melvin Gelman Library was used to project these pro-Hamas talking points, which we're also getting from Democrat members of Congress, like Rashida Tlaib. And honestly, Rashida Tlaib she's a jihadi. And she loves the Holocaust. Now, that sounds ridiculous, except that she said it. Just amazing. Rashida Tlaib stands by Israel and Holocaust comments amid criticism. She is a Democrat member of the House of Representatives in the United States of America. And it is just amazing the things that she has said. She said, there's a kind of calming feeling I've always had. Telling folks, when I think of the Holocaust, there's kind of a calming feeling I always tell folks when I think of the Holocaust. Boy. And the tragedy of the Holocaust, that they didn't finish the job, and the fact that it was my ancestors, Palestinians, who lost their land, and some lost their lives, their livelihood, their human dignity, their existence. Why? Because a civilized nation moved in, where Muslims, Jews, Christians, and atheists live side by side in peace. You know, there was, and they say, the two-state solution is the answer. The Gaza was a two-state solution, and now it should be wiped off the map. Now it should be from the Gaza to the sea. What's on the left side of the Gaza? From the porta potties to the sea, because I think they have a row of porta potties to the east of the Gaza Strip. They got 25 miles of beautiful Mediterranean seafront property. 25 miles. Now, that's bigger than some countries, 25 miles. The area is more than twice the size of Washington, D.C. They were given the right to govern themselves, to vote for their own political leaders. So they voted Hamas in, which is a terrorist organization. And according to all the polls, they would continue to vote Hamas in and reelect Hamas, which is a radical Islamic terrorist organization. And they've got this area more than twice as big as Washington, D.C., but Washington, D.C. isn't all Mediterranean seafront facing the sunset on the southern end of Israel, north of Egypt. It's beautiful. It's absolutely beautiful if you make it beautiful. But they made it a filthy, blood-drenched hellhole in which they suffer and die. And they want the rest of the world around them to suffer and die. And the Palestinians are famous in the Arab world, which is why the Egyptians won't take one of them in. The Jordanians won't take one of them in. The Syrians, they're at war all the time with various people, and, they won't even take them in. The Lebanese won't take them in because the Palestinians are, in the Arab world, kind of the criminal bastard child that none of them want anything to do with. But they were given a state, and it was more than 25 miles from north to south, and like from 3 to 7 miles across, I think, the Gaza. And there are about 2 million people in there. That was their state. Now you turn it into beep, and then you use it to launch a genocidal, murderous attacks against your next-door neighbors. And we should blacken the skies with B-52s and wipe it from the map. Just saying. So we got that. We got that going for us. Speaking of the B-52s. The Australian Prime Minister is today in Washington, D.C., and he's from Australia. And he is going to be at the White House with Joe Biden today, poor fella. And they're allegedly going to hold a press conference, and Joe Biden will, for the first time, do a Q&A with so-called reporters. And that's a good thing. But then they're having a state dinner tonight for the Prime Minister of Australia. And kind of a funny little sidebar, because everything's funny thanks to the Democrats, even though it's not supposed to be. For tonight's White House state dinner for the Australian Prime Minister, the entertainment that they scheduled, they always have some kind of a musical or, some kind of, usually a musical group. And tonight they had scheduled the B-52s. Love Shack is a little place where we can get together with HIV-positive transgender prostitutes because that's your Democrat Party. So they had scheduled the B-52s to be the entertainment, but they announced last night that they're canceling the B-52s, what with the wars going on all over the place and everything. And I think we should use B-52s to blacken the skies above the Gaza Strip and give them a little what for. Hey, here's what happens to genocidal lunatics. Maybe you guys don't know anything about World War II, but you should see what we did to Dresden, which was an art center and filled with refugees, and the British led the way there, but Bomber Harris, I think his name was. But we bombed the place into oblivion because, hey, wait a minute, not all the people of Dresden voted for the Nazi Party. So sad, too bad. That's tough. But the B-52s were scheduled to play at the White House state dinner honoring the Australian Prime Minister, and then somebody slapped their forehead yesterday and said, wait a minute, maybe it's in poor taste to have the B-52s, what with all the bombing going on in the Gaza and the mad bombers of radical Islam. And, of course, the Democrat Party is now, they're in cahoots with the mad bombers of the, you know how they are, completely mad. These people, can I just say these people? Boy, oh boy. Let's go to, let me look at the clock. Let's go to the phones, Jeffrey. Let me see. Let's go to, on line 4, let's go to Frank, calling from Ashburn, Virginia. Frank, you're on the Chris Plant Show.
Good morning, Chris.
Hey, Frank.
Thank you again for all your great work. I've enjoyed your radio show for many years. Love your TV show. One little caveat: you got to get rid of the libtards. You see enough of them. But I will digress. But I agree with almost everything you say. But this turn of anti-Semitism in the left, I've seen this at least in people I know that are leftists for years. I think it's been long stewing, and I know it's all of a sudden in the media, and we see it now. And it's so ironic, like you said, they have no sense of irony because these are the same people that called Donald Trump a Nazi. But I know several people that I have conversations and debates with constantly on the left, and they all lean in, well, at least for several years now, have leaned anti-Semitic.
Well, and it is funny that they love calling people Nazis. And, of course, Adolf Hitler's party was the National German Socialist Workers' Party, National Socialist German Workers' Party. So it's a socialist workers' party, 20th century Europe. Donald Trump, on the other hand, created the Abraham Accords, and his son-in-law, the Abraham Accords and peace agreements normalizing relations between Israel and 3 Arab countries. They were well on their way. The Trump administration normalizing relations between Saudi Arabia and Israel. And of course, moving the embassy to Jerusalem from Tel Aviv. There's actually a village in Israel named for Donald Trump because Donald Trump is such a friend of Israel. And Joe Biden, on the other hand, is dithering and slowing them down and dragging our feet so that they have to drag their feet. And everything that he's doing, even Kabul Kirby yesterday had to concede that calls for a ceasefire, which is a Democrat Party jihad talking point, calls for a ceasefire would accrue only to the benefit of Hamas and the Palestinian Islamic Jihad and Hezbollah and Iran. And Joe Biden and Barack Obama, of course, are the best friends that Iran has ever had in the United States of America since the fall of the Shah in 1979. funneling tens of billions of dollars. Just the price of gas. Real quick, Frank?
But of course, they're not anti-Semitic, are they?
Yeah, that's right. That's exactly right. That's what information dominance can do for you. Yeah, today's Democrat Party. At what point should the Democrat Party be declared to be a terrorist organization? And then, we got to start doing what the Democrats do. And, of course, the FBI has been so corrupted by the Democrats and probably can't use them to investigate the terrorist Democrat, Hamas-loving lunatics, what they've done on college campuses. They've gone from leftist to transgender jihadis. Kind of ironic. Again, as Frank said, I like to say because it's true, they have no sense of irony. And boy, do they have no sense of irony. You think that transgender people are welcome in the Gaza? You should go there and find out. You should really go. You can bring humanitarian supplies, and they'll jam them into your dark and remote location as they hang you from a crane and chant Allahu Akbar as you squirm in your last gasps of breath on this earth. All right, let's take another phone call, Jeff. Let's go to Ray calling from South Carolina. You can call me Ray. You're on the Chris Plant Show.
Hello, Chris. This
Hey, Ray.
is Ray in South Carolina. How copy?
I copy a 4x4, Ray.
All right. Well, I just wanted to make a comment. Long-time listener. I'm a transplant from the metropolitan D.C. area.
Mm-hmm.
Grew up in Maryland. Moved from Herndon, Virginia, down here to the Grand Strand. And as my career, Chris, was a letter carrier up there in Northwest D.C., Bethesda, Maryland. Okay.
Uh-huh.
And during my tenure as a letter carrier, there were a lot of guys driving around with Priuses with the bumper stickers. Liberals love their bumper stickers. Where are the guys with the bumper stickers that say coexist? Where are their voices?
That is, you still see them occasionally around here, Ray. You really do. And the coexist bumper sticker, and they use the symbols of the world's various religions to spell out the word coexist. And the crescent moon of Islam is the C in coexist. And I always looked at those, and I got Baha'i and Hindu and Christianity and all that. And I always looked at them and said, every one of those religions coexists perfectly well, with the exception of one of those religions. And that's Islam, because of jihad, which is still ongoing and is worldwide. And now the Democrats have jumped in.